talk also with how when you have a great movie like Finding Nemo, how it really does inspire different departments within Imagineering. And if you can talk about the musical, because I think it's really one of the things, if you go to Florida, Animal Kingdom, they had this stage. What was there before? Was it Tarzan show?
Tarzan Rocks.
Yeah. And so then they closed the theater.
They closed the theater, and it's dedicated to Finding Nemo, the musical. They were singing. When that film came out, everyone was just in entertainment, it was racing. So there's such excitement about bringing this world visually to life on stage, so many possibilities. But there was also concern about, well, it's not a musical. The original film is not a musical. Could we possibly, because we felt like musical theater, when you're in our parks, on our stages, helps sort of lift that emotion and that energy on stage, so it sort of feels a little more right in that setting. And so we took a chance. We commissioned a composer team, husband and wife, Bobby Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez. Bobby Lopez won the Tony Award for composing Avenue Q. And they came back with a song called Big Blue World, which is the opening number for the show. And in this 5-minute song, it sort of encapsulates the first 15 minutes of the film. And does it in a way that captures the humor of the film, I think, but also the tremendous stakes of the film and the heart. And we heard that song, and I think everyone just felt like, yeah, you can do it. There's a way. It felt, I think a lot of people come to see Finding Nemo the musical, and some people say, oh yeah, I remember that song from the movie. So, it was really, and it really opened the door to us to consider other possibilities as well for non-musical films that we could adapt in that way.
Which in the next one we did?
The next one we did was a show called Toy Story the Musical, which we opened up on the Disney Wonder cruise ship last year.
And the composers that did that music, they're fantastic.
They're fantastic. Some of you may have come Friday night. We did a little talk about the making of Toy Story the Musical. Brendan Milburn and Valerie Vigoda are the composers of the music for this. And their music is this just really interesting hybrid of kind of folk and jazz and pop all kind of melding together. And sort of they kind of feel like they're cut from that same cloth as Randy Newman. And again, I would say, really just captured the wit of the film, and the whole team on Toy Story the Musical was it was such a priority to them to preserve the heart and the depth of those themes, of the power of a child's love and, the power of friendship. And, it was just very exciting for us to be able to bring that to the stage.
And I was so impressed by the music, actually, both of these composers, and especially with Toy Story, we've worked with them in the Tinkerbell movies. They've done some songs for us in the Tinkerbell films, because they're so good.
They are.
But this is really, it's so fun to see these our characters and these really transformed into all the different ways Imagineering takes these.
And it's really, putting these shows on a cruise ship is quite a challenge because of storage, and so the costumes, which we were kind of concerned about at the beginning, it's like, well, how are we going to actually pull off the toy look, the performance perform? And was it with Michael Curry? You guys worked with him?
We worked with Michael Curry. You're actually seeing some of this image right here. Our process is, we start with what we call white foam mock-ups when we start to figure out the actual scale of these costumes. Our big priority in creating the costumes for Toy Story the Musical is we knew we wanted to hide the humans as much as possible, because Toy Story is about the world of toys when humans aren't there, right? So we wanted to really be true to the design of the original characters and give them as much expression and articulation as we possibly could in the puppetry. And we played with all different kinds of techniques to do that. A lot of to Bruce's point about them being about the limited storage space, we actually created a lot of costumes that are inflatable, where the body of Rex actually is a big balloon that our performer is inside. He's inside a balloon. He's actually on the performer's on jump stilts. They're about this high. So Rex bounces across the stage, and he's got this incredible elasticity, and his eyes blink, and his mouth moves. So, yeah, we needed to work with a master puppeteer, and that's Michael Curry, who created all the puppets for The Lion King on Broadway. You guys have seen his work all over the parks, in Aladdin, in the Aladdin show at California Adventure.
The other thing that's been great working with Pixar is when we translate these characters to the physical world, we really have to pick and choose because we can't do everything that you can do in a computer. So we've got to sit there and meticulously say, okay, the eyes on this one need to do this much, or the mouth has to open this high. I mean, it really is an interesting exercise of figuring out exactly what are those key things that you want to keep, and what can you live without, and still let the character, have the life that everybody knows. Because people watch these movies over and over. I'm sure all of you do. I do. And you know these characters really well, and you know that you spend a lot of time with them in these movies, and we've got to deliver that when you see them personally.
And just to elaborate on that a little bit, is we do work really closely with these guys in engineering and our animators, just to. Because we do have limitations in the park that we don't have, obviously, and they look really closely, and our animators have learned so much from the Imagineers on how to keep the personality of the character in a lot fewer moves, we're working a lot with that in Cars Land right now.
Wally was a great example of that.
Wally was a great example, absolutely.
We really had to, because Wally, there's so many things in that movie, you got all the space inside, and, we had to package an entire robot, and hopefully you guys saw Wally down at our booth this week. But I forget how many actual different articulations he has in the movie, but we got it down to around 19, and I feel really bring this character to life. But it was
totally live.
Still things like the little irises in the eyes, that was something we needed to keep. And you just train these off as you develop these characters.
This was actually, I think, the very first time that animation data actually animated at Pixar we put directly on to a dimensional figure, which is, for us, it's just a head rush. Like, oh my God, it's always been behind the glass, and now it's in front of me. We had to learn, you can't just run the animation and find out the arm whacks into something. You have to run it at quarter speed. It's about to whack out! Okay.
Because Wally weighs 500 pounds, too. So we had to be really careful.
It's also a great example of Day and Date. That Wally was created to go on the, actually before,
the publicity tour.
Publicity tour around the world. So that Wally actually rolled out of our Imagineering labs and went on a world tour, like a celebrity, literally on red carpets. And that's been another big advantage of having, Pixar and working with John and Liz and Roger so closely, is that we're now getting insight earlier. We're talking more about what are the things that we can get into the parks sooner, because it takes us a long time to build something. It can take years. And I actually remember when Nemo came out, I was in Tom Fitzgerald's office at the time, and a call came. It was a huge opening weekend, and it was that Monday or Tuesday, whatever, when the numbers came out, and the call was, what do we have for Nemo? It's like, nothing. No one told us to work on this yet. And it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get something. So we're really trying to get over that.